Nothing says celebrate your wife's promotion like watching her tongue wrestle her boss while you're holding two champagne flutes like some kind of corporate cuckold. But that's exactly where I found myself on that god-forsaken Tuesday night, standing in the middle of Henderson and Associates' rooftop party, watching my wife Sarah plant one on her sleazeball boss right in front of half the company. The champagne glasses slipped from my hands, shattering on the polished concrete floor. The sound cut through the jazz music and corporate chatter like a gunshot. Heads turned, phones came out. And there I was, Dave Mitchell, 42-year-old auto shop owner, married 15 years to the woman who was currently exploring her boss's tonsils with scientific precision. "Holy shit," whispered a voice beside me. I turned to see Rebecca, one of Sarah's coworkers, a stunning brunette in her late 20s with predatory green eyes and a smile that could cut glass. "That's your wife, right?" I nodded, unable to form words, as Sarah finally broke away from Mr. Perfect, her lipstick smeared, her eyes glassy with expensive alcohol and cheaper thrills. "Want to know something interesting?" Rebecca leaned closer, her perfume mixing with the scent of my humiliation. "This isn't their first dance, if you know what I mean. They've been screwing in his office for months. Conference room, too. Hell, I walked in on them in the supply closet last week." The rooftop started spinning. Not from the booze, I'd barely touched my beer, but from the sudden realization that I'd been living a lie for God knows how long. Sarah caught my eye across the crowd and had the audacity to wave, like she hadn't just French kissed her way into my personal hell. "You look like you could use a drink," Rebecca said, guiding me toward the bar, "and maybe a little revenge." That's when I knew my life was about to change. The old Dave, the loyal husband, the guy who fixed everyone's cars and never asked for trouble, was about to die, and something much darker was about to be born. Sarah stumbled over in her designer heels, the ones I'd bought her for our anniversary. "Dave, baby, you look so serious. Come dance with me." She reeked of her boss's cologne and betrayal. Her dress, the black one that used to drive me wild, was wrinkled from their little makeout session. I could see the smug satisfaction in her eyes, like she wanted me to see, like she was testing me. "Having fun?" I asked, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. "The best," she giggled, swaying slightly. "Richard was just telling me about the promotion possibilities. So many positions available." Richard, her boss. The guy who drove a BMW and wore suits that cost more than I made in a month. He was watching us from across the party, a champagne flute in his manicured hand and a shit-eating grin on his face. "I bet there are," I said. "Lots of hands-on experience required, I'm sure." Sarah's laugh was too loud, too bright. "Don't be such a grump, Dave. It's a party. Live a little." That's when I noticed the photographer, some kid with an expensive camera capturing all the fun moments for the company newsletter. He'd definitely gotten shots of Sarah and Richard's tongue wrestling match. By tomorrow, half the city would know I was married to the office slut. "I think I'll head out," I said, finishing my beer. "You seem to have everything under control here." "Don't be like that." Sarah grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. "You're embarrassing me." I looked around at the crowd of corporate sharks in their designer clothes, all pretending they hadn't just watched my wife cheat on me in high definition. "I'm embarrassing you?" "Yes. You're being all weird and jealous. Richard is my boss, Dave. I have to be nice to him." "Is that what we're calling it now?" Her face flushed red. "You're being paranoid. And frankly, you're being boring. When's the last time you excited me like—" She caught herself, but the damage was done. "Like Richard does?" "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." I turned to walk away, but Sarah followed me toward the elevator, her heels clicking on the concrete like a countdown to disaster. "Dave, wait. Don't make this into some big thing. I had a few drinks, I was celebrating, and maybe I got a little carried away. But it doesn't mean anything." The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside and turned to face her. "You know what, Sarah? You're right. It doesn't mean anything. Not anymore." As the doors closed, I could see her face crumpling, finally realizing she might have pushed too far, but it was too late for tears. The old Dave would have forgiven her, would have taken her home and pretended it never happened. The old Dave was dead. My phone buzzed as I walked through the parking garage. A text from Rebecca. "If you want to destroy them both, call me tomorrow. I know where all the bodies are buried." I looked up at the building where my wife was probably already back in Richard's arms, and I smiled for the first time all night. Tomorrow, I was going to start digging up those bodies. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I spent the night in my garage, surrounded by the honest smell of motor oil and metal, trying to process what my marriage had become. By morning, I'd made my decision. I called Rebecca. "Took you long enough," she said when she answered. "Meet me at Murphy's Bar on 5th Street. 1 o'clock. Murphy's was the kind of dive where corporate climbers feared to tread. Sticky floors, neon beer signs, and bartenders who minded their own business. Perfect for planning someone's downfall. Rebecca was already there when I arrived, looking out of place in her business attire, but somehow perfectly at home in the shadows. She'd ordered me a whiskey. Smart woman. "So," she said, sliding a manila folder across the scarred wooden table. "Want to know what your loving wife has really been up to?" I opened the folder and felt my stomach drop. Photos of Sarah and Richard at restaurants, hotels, even my own driveway when I was at work. Printed emails discussing their affair in graphic detail. Bank statements showing unexplained expenses. "How long have you been collecting this?" I asked. 6 months. Ever since Richard passed me over for the promotion that went to your wife. Funny thing about that promotion, Sarah wasn't even qualified, but she had other skills that impressed him. I flipped through more photos. Sarah wearing lingerie I'd never seen. Richard's hands all over her in his office, the two of them laughing at what looked like a private joke. "Why show me this? What do you want?" Rebecca smiled, and it wasn't pleasant. "I want Richard destroyed. I want Sarah humiliated, and I want the life that should have been mine. You want revenge? We can help each other." "What did you have in mind?" "Richard's not just cheating with your wife. He's been embezzling company funds to pay for their little love nest. Sarah's been helping him cook the books. I have proof." She pulled out another folder, this one filled with financial documents that made my head spin. But the bottom line was clear. They'd been stealing thousands of dollars. "Why not just turn this over to the police?" "Because that's too easy. They'd get lawyers, plea bargains, maybe a slap on the wrist. I want them ruined, completely and utterly destroyed. Their reputations, their careers, their lives. I want them to lose everything, just like they made me lose everything." I studied her face. Rebecca was beautiful, but there was something cold behind those green eyes, something that probably should have scared me. Instead, it excited me. "What's the plan?" "Phase 1 starts tonight. Richard's car is parked in the company garage. You know cars, right? Think you could make his life a little more complicated?" I grinned. "I can make his BMW think it's a piece of junk." "Good. While you're doing that, I'll be planting some interesting documents in Sarah's desk. Nothing illegal, just embarrassing. Love letters, photos, that kind of thing. Stuff that will accidentally get discovered by the right people." We spent the next hour planning. Rebecca knew everyone's schedules, security codes, and personal weaknesses. She was like a beautiful, vengeful computer that had been programmed for destruction. "There's one more thing," she said as we prepared to leave. "Your wife and Richard are planning something special for this weekend. A little getaway to celebrate their love. Cabin upstate, very romantic." "How do you know?" "I booked it for them. Richard used the company credit card, naturally. Thought you might want to crash their party." I felt something dark and satisfying settle in my chest. Oh, I definitely want to crash their party. That night, I waited in the company parking garage until the building was empty. Richard's BMW sat in its reserved spot like a monument to his arrogance. I popped the hood and got to work. Nothing that would hurt anyone. I wasn't a monster. But by the time I was done, his precious car would be making sounds like a dying elephant and leaking fluids like a sieve. The beauty of it was, it would take a mechanic days to figure out what was wrong, and I was the best mechanic in town. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "Working late again? Don't wait up." I almost laughed. She was probably in Richard's office right now, celebrating their weekend plans. Let them celebrate. By Sunday night, they'd have nothing left to smile about. As I drove home, I thought about the man I used to be. Dave Mitchell, faithful husband and honest businessman. That guy was gone, and I didn't miss him one bit. The new Dave was smarter, meaner, and had nothing left to lose. My phone rang. "Rebecca." "It's done," she said. "Sarah's desk is now a shrine to her affair. The cleaning crew will find everything tomorrow morning. By lunch, the whole office will know. And Richard's car is going to give him the worst day of his life. Perfect. Phase 2 starts tomorrow. Hope you're ready for this, Dave. Once we start down this road, there's no going back." I pulled into my driveway and looked at the house I'd shared with Sarah for 15 years. Tomorrow she'd wake up thinking she had everything under control. She had no idea that her perfect little world was about to implode. "I'm ready," I told Rebecca. "Let's burn it all down." The next morning, I got the call I'd been waiting for. My buddy Tommy from the auto shop was laughing so hard he could barely talk. Dave, you gotta see this. Some rich asshole in a BMW just had his car towed to Peterson's garage across town. Things making noises like a garbage disposal full of marbles, and it's leaking every fluid known to man. Peterson's scratching his head like it's some kind of automotive mystery. I grinned. Poor guy. Sounds expensive. Yeah, real expensive, especially since Peterson charges triple for foreign cars. By noon, Rebecca called with an update from the office. The cleaning crew found Sarah's little shrine this morning. By 10 a.m., everyone knew. By 11, HR was asking questions. By noon, Richard was in damage control mode. How's Sarah handling it? Like a deer in headlights. She keeps insisting the photos are fake, but everyone knows better. The whole office is buzzing. And Richard? Still dealing with his car situation. He called in late, sweating bullets, claiming mechanical problems. The irony is delicious. That evening, Sarah came home looking like she'd been through a blender. Her perfect corporate composure was cracked, revealing the panicked woman underneath. Dave, we need to talk. I was in my recliner, watching the news and drinking a beer like nothing had happened. Sure, honey, how was work? Someone's trying to sabotage me. They planted fake photos in my desk, spread rumors about me and Richard. It's all lies, Dave. You have to believe me. I muted the TV and looked at her. Really looked. The designer clothes couldn't hide the guilt in her eyes, the way she couldn't quite meet my gaze. Fake photos? That's terrible. What kind of photos? She fidgeted with her wedding ring, the one that apparently meant nothing to her. Just inappropriate pictures. Someone's trying to make it look like Richard and I are having an affair. Are you? The question hung in the air like smoke. Sarah opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Of course not. How can you even ask that? Because I saw you kissing him at the party, Sarah, in front of everyone. That was nothing. I was drunk. I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I stood up, setting my beer down carefully. You know what? You're right. It didn't mean anything. Just like our marriage doesn't mean anything. Just like the 15 years I've been faithful to you don't mean anything. Dave, please. Just like the way you've been sneaking around behind my back for months doesn't mean anything. Her face went white. What are you talking about? I know about the hotels, Sarah, the restaurants, the little love nest Richard's been paying for with company money. I know everything. She started crying then, big crocodile tears that might have worked on the old Dave. I'm sorry. I never meant for it to happen. It just did. Richard makes me feel special, alive. When's the last time you made me feel that way? So this is my fault? No. Yes. I don't know. Dave, I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. Richard and I, we have something real. I almost laughed. Something real? Sarah, he's married. He's got 3 kids and a wife who thinks he's working late. You're not special to him. You're convenient. That's not true. Isn't it? Tell me, when you two go away this weekend, where exactly are you planning to go? She froze. How did you? The cabin upstate, the one he booked with the company credit card. Very romantic, very stupid. Sarah sank onto the couch, her face in her hands. What do you want from me? I want you to understand something. The man you married, the guy who loved you unconditionally, who would have forgiven anything, he's gone. You killed him at that party when you decided to humiliate me in front of everyone. I can end it with Richard. We can go to counseling. We can fix this. I shook my head. No, we can't. Because this isn't about Richard. This is about who you really are, Sarah, and I finally see you clearly. My phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. Phase 3 is ready. Richard's wife just got an interesting package at her office. Photos, hotel receipts, the works. She's filing for divorce tomorrow. I smiled, and Sarah noticed. What's that about? Nothing important, just business. But it wasn't nothing. It was everything. Richard's perfect life was about to crumble, just like mine had. The difference was I was going to enjoy watching his fall. Dave, please, we can work this out. No, Sarah, we really can't. But don't worry. You and Richard will have plenty of time to figure out your next move, assuming he still has a job after HR finishes their investigation. What investigation? The one into the missing company funds, the embezzlement, the fraud. You know, all those illegal things you've been helping him with. Sarah's face went from white to gray. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. Just like you don't know about the audit that's starting Monday. Just like you don't know that Rebecca's been documenting everything for months. Rebecca? What does she have to do with this? Everything, sweetheart. Absolutely everything. Sarah stared at me like I was a stranger. And maybe I was. The old Dave would never have orchestrated something like this. The old Dave would have suffered in silence. But the old Dave was dead, and the new Dave was just getting started. Saturday morning, Sarah left for her romantic weekend with Richard, thinking she was escaping to paradise. She had no idea she was walking into hell. I gave them a 3-hour head start, then loaded my truck with everything I'd need. Rebecca had provided detailed directions to the cabin, along with photos of the layout and the spare key location. She'd thought of everything. "Are you sure about this?" Tommy asked as he helped me load the truck. He was the only friend who knew what I was planning, and he looked nervous. "Too late for second thoughts now," I told him. "Besides, they deserve whatever's coming." The cabin was exactly as Rebecca had described, secluded, expensive, and perfect for a confrontation. Richard's BMW was parked outside, still making the occasional grinding noise from my mechanical modifications. I parked down the road and hiked through the woods. Through the bedroom window, I could see them together. Sarah wearing lingerie I'd never seen, Richard looking smug and satisfied. They were drinking champagne and planning their future, completely oblivious to the fact that they didn't have one. I waited until they were in the shower together, then let myself in through the back door. The cabin was a monument to their arrogance. Champagne bottles, scattered clothes, and Richard's laptop open on the kitchen table, still logged into his company email. That's when I saw it. An email thread between Richard and his boss, discussing Sarah's performance and whether she was worth the risk. Richard had written, "She's useful for now, but not wife material. Too needy, too obvious. I'll dump her after the quarterly reports are done." I took photos of everything, the emails, the champagne, the lingerie, the bed they'd been sharing. Then I sent copies to Sarah's sister, her mother, and her best friend from college. Let them see what their precious Sarah had become. The shower was still running when I heard voices in the bedroom. They were arguing about something, money, from what I could make out. Perfect. I knocked on the front door. The voices stopped. I heard scrambling, whispered panic, then Richard's voice. Who the hell could that be? I knocked again, harder this time. Richard appeared at the door in a bathrobe, his hair still wet, looking like he'd seen a ghost when he recognized me. "Dave, what are you doing here?" Surprise visit. Hope I'm not interrupting anything important." "This is private property. You're trespassing." "Actually, it's a rental. Paid for with company funds, according to the credit card records." "That makes it fraud, Richard, but I'm sure you know all about that." Sarah appeared behind him, wrapped in a towel, her face pale with terror. "Dave, please, let me explain." "Explain what? How you've been stealing from your company, how you've been lying to everyone, how you've been planning to dump my wife as soon as she's no longer useful." Richard's face went white. "What are you talking about?" I held up his laptop. "Your email's still open. Genius. Very interesting reading, especially the part where you call Sarah too needy and not wife material." Sarah looked at Richard like he'd slapped her. "What email? What is he talking about?" "It's nothing, baby. He's lying." "Am I?" I turned the laptop so Sarah could see the screen. "Read it yourself, sweetheart. See what your soulmate really thinks of you." Sarah read the email, her face crumbling with each word. "Richard, is this true?" "Sarah, I can explain. You said you loved me. You said we had a future together." "We do. That email was I was just covering our tracks. I had to make it look like it didn't mean anything. But it says here that you're planning to dump me after the quarterly reports." Richard looked trapped, his eyes darting between Sarah and me like a cornered animal. "Dave, what do you want?" "I want you to understand something. You destroyed my marriage, stole from your company, and used my wife like a disposable toy. Now it's my turn." I pulled out my phone and showed them the screen. "See this? I've been live streaming our conversation to Facebook. Your wife's watching, Richard. So are your kids, and your boss, and about 300 other people." Richard lunged for the phone, but I stepped back. "Too late. The whole world knows what you are now." Sarah was sobbing, clutching her towel like it could protect her from reality. "Dave, please turn it off. Please." "Why? Embarrassed? Funny how that works, isn't it?" My phone was buzzing constantly with comments and reactions. Richard's wife had already posted that she was filing for divorce. His boss had commented that Richard was fired effective immediately. Sarah's mother had written simply, "I'm ashamed of you." "You've destroyed everything," Richard screamed. "My marriage, my job, my life." "Good," I said. "Now you know how it feels. This isn't over. I'll sue you for harassment, for invasion of privacy." "With what money? Your wife's taking half of everything, and your company's pressing charges for embezzlement. You'll be lucky if you're not in prison by Christmas." Sarah looked at me with something like recognition. You're not the same person I married. No, I'm not. You killed that person. This is who you created. I ended the live stream and pocketed my phone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Oh, and Sarah, don't bother coming home. I've changed the locks. As I walked back to my truck, I could hear them screaming at each other inside the cabin. Their perfect romance was imploding in real time, and it was beautiful. My phone rang. Rebecca. Did you see the live stream? I asked. Every glorious second. Richard's finished, and Sarah's a laughingstock. But we're not done yet. What do you mean? Phase 4 starts Monday, the final phase. Hope you're ready for the grand finale, Dave. It's going to be spectacular. Monday morning brought news that made my coffee taste like victory. Richard had been arrested for embezzlement. Sarah had been fired for her role in the scheme. Their affair was front-page news in the local paper, complete with photos from the cabin confrontation. But Rebecca wasn't satisfied. She wanted one final, devastating blow. There's a company board meeting tonight, she told me over lunch. Emergency session to discuss the Richard situation. Sarah's going to be there to testify about her involvement. So I've arranged for you to be there too, as a guest of one of the board members. My uncle sits on the board, and he's very interested in meeting the wronged husband who exposed this whole mess. What's the point? They're already ruined. Rebecca smiled that predatory smile I'd grown to love. Because Sarah still thinks she can salvage something from this. She's going to throw Richard under the bus, claim she was manipulated, play the victim card. She might even get away with it. Not if I have anything to say about it. Exactly. You're going to tell the board exactly what kind of person your wife really is, and I'm going to make sure everyone in the company hears it. The board meeting was held in Henderson and Associates' main conference room, the same building where this whole nightmare had started. Sarah was already there when I arrived, dressed conservatively and looking appropriately remorseful. She was playing her part perfectly. She saw me enter, and her face went white. What is he doing here? Mr. Mitchell has been invited to provide testimony regarding the defendants, said the board chairman, a distinguished older man who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Sarah's lawyer, some public defender who looked fresh out of law school, whispered frantically in her ear. This wasn't going according to their plan. Mr. Mitchell, the chairman continued, we understand you have information relevant to this case. I stood up, looking directly at Sarah. I have 15 years of information about Sarah Mitchell. Would you like me to start with her history of lying, or should I jump right to the embezzlement? Objection, her lawyer squeaked. This isn't a trial, counselor, the chairman replied dryly. Mr. Mitchell, please continue. For the next hour, I laid out everything. Sarah's pattern of deception, her manipulation of Richard, her willing participation in the fraud. I had emails, photos, financial records, and witness statements. Rebecca had helped me build an airtight case. Sarah tried to interrupt several times, claiming I was lying, that I was bitter about the divorce, that I was trying to destroy her out of spite. She wasn't wrong about the spite part. Mrs. Mitchell, the chairman said when I was finished, do you have a response to these allegations? Sarah stood up, tears streaming down her face. He's my husband. He's supposed to love me, support me, forgive me. Instead, he's trying to destroy me. Did you or did you not participate in the embezzlement scheme? Richard said it was legal. He said it was just creative accounting. I trusted him. Did you or did you not have an affair with Richard Hartwell while married to Mr. Mitchell? Sarah's shoulders slumped. Yes. Did you or did you not help Mr. Hartwell falsify company records to cover up the missing funds? Yes, but... Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. That will be all. The board voted unanimously to press charges against both Sarah and Richard. They also voted to sue them for the return of all stolen funds, plus damages. Sarah's lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. As the meeting ended, Sarah approached me in the hallway. Are you happy now? You've destroyed everything. Not everything, I said. Just the lies. The truth was always going to come out eventually. I loved you, Dave. Despite everything, I did love you. No, you didn't. You loved what I represented. Security, stability, someone to fall back on when your adventures went wrong. But you never loved me. Rebecca appeared beside us, no longer bothering to hide her satisfaction. Sarah, I believe you know me. Rebecca Thompson, your former coworker. Sarah's eyes widened. You're behind all this. I'm behind justice. You and Richard took something that belonged to me, so I took something that belonged to you. Fair trade. What are you talking about? The promotion, Sarah. The one that should have been mine. The one you got by sleeping with the boss. Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences? Sarah looked back and forth between us, finally understanding the scope of what had happened. You two planned this together. We helped each other, I said. Funny how that works when people actually care about justice. This isn't justice, it's revenge. Sometimes they're the same thing. 6 months later, Richard was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Sarah got 2 years probation and community service, plus she had to pay back every penny she'd stolen. Her reputation was destroyed, her career over, her family ashamed. Rebecca got Richard's old job and a substantial raise. She deserved it. As for me, I sold the house, paid off the divorce lawyer, and bought a bigger garage. Business was booming. Apparently being the guy who exposed the biggest corporate scandal in town was good for publicity. I never remarried, never wanted to. The new Dave didn't need a wife to feel complete. He had something better, the satisfaction of knowing that sometimes, just sometimes, the good guys win, even when they have to become the bad guys to do it. Sarah tried to contact me a few times after her sentencing, claiming she'd learned her lesson, that she wanted to make amends. I never responded. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. The last I heard, she was working at a diner across town, living in a studio apartment, driving a car that broke down more often than it ran. It wasn't the life she'd planned when she was kissing her boss at that company party, but it was the life she'd earned, and that was justice enough for me. Rebecca and I still talk occasionally. She's doing well at the company, cleaning house, and making sure everyone knows that actions have consequences. We never became romantic. We both knew we were too dangerous together. But we remain allies, two people who understood that sometimes you have to burn everything down to build something better. The old Dave would have been horrified by what we did. He would have called it cruel, excessive, vindictive. The new Dave called it Tuesday. And you know what? I sleep better now than I have in years. Turns out there's something deeply satisfying about watching karma work in real time, especially when you're the one operating the machinery. Sarah got exactly what she deserved. Richard got exactly what he deserved. And I got something I never expected. Peace. The kind of peace that only comes when you stop being a victim and start being the author of your own story, even if that story makes you the villain.